Well, howdy there, everybody. I figured now was a great time as any to tell y'all about the Poaceae, the grass family. No, but in all seriousness, we're gonna have a fun, entertaining virtual field trip for the grass family. Something you guys should be aware of is that the online learning has been challenging to everyone, and the students have had so many other things to do virtually that some of the elective courses like this one have kind of gone by the wayside. So I'm going to still make some of these family videos for the plants, but they're going to be a bit more slow just because I have so much else going on and it's not pressing or urgent to get these done. So there will be more that come out. It's just not going to be several week like they have been, just because it's not needed, unfortunately. So I hope people enjoy this one, and next one will be the Fabaceae, but I don't know when that's going to be. Alright guys, so here we have some crabgrass, and you can see it's a typical Poaceae plant. It's got these very nice round stems. The leaves here have a kind of protective sheath over the stem. See how it hugs the stem, and you can kind of peel it away and reveal the entire leaf blade starts far lower on the stem than where it looks like it's popping out of. So the leaf has actually started closer to this. Well, this is a different leaf anyway, but the leaf has actually started, if we look down about here, whereas it only pops off of the side of the stem as you start to come further up. That's a characteristic of the grass family. The base of the leaf hugs the stem. And then you can see here we've got the inflorescence starting to form. You can see it's just this kind of feathery stem, and the petals are very insignificant along the flowers here. The flowers don't look like they've opened just yet, but there are some sterile flowers kind of lining the bottom of the fertile flowers, which are called glooms. And so this is just the inflorescence or the flower stalk of one of the grasses. This is sugarcane. It's in the Poaceae, or the grass family, and you can tell, one, it's a monocot because every node has just a single leaf on it. You see there are different nodes. If you really peeled away the leaves and expanded this, you would clearly see the different nodes. You can also tell it's in the grass family because look at how the base of the leaf really likes to wrap around the stem here. It's basically hugging the stem like a sheath to protect the stem. So this is a Poaceae plant. So that grass-like stuff that I showed y'all earlier, it becomes this through a magical process. No, I'm kidding. So granulated sugar. So what they do is they take the cane from the sugar cane, the huge grass stem, and they roll it under high pressure to squeeze out all the juice. And then they evaporate that juice off so that what's left is this sticky, hardened material that they then refine to make sugar. And so that's how you get sugar. It's sucrose. Here's another grass. This is probably just an ornamental species. I'm not entirely sure what it is again. I could probably ask somebody if people really want to know. But here's a grass. Or surprisingly, on a patch of land that doesn't have a lot of grass right now. I know everybody likes to think of grasses as landscape dominators, which they typically are, but not always. They've got more crabgrass growing in some of these. There are a whole bunch of different crabgrass species, by the way. Let me just see, is this? Nope. That's from a previous family. These are the seed pods of some of our mustards, our brassicaceous plants. We've got just a nice mix of springtime plants in there. I can't wait till you guys have the big finale for the Poaceae. You're gonna love the final video for this virtual field trip. I mean, of course, it's all gonna be mashed together instead of separate videos. And so we have even more grass. See how versatile and adaptable grass is? This stuff is just growing out of the side of a compost bin. It almost looks like corn, but I don't think it's corn. Unless somebody composted some corn in here and now the seedlings are growing out of it. But grass is really good at taking up space, holding it, and basically adding nutrients back to the ground. Grass is very ecologically important as a family. Any particular species, probably not essential out of its normal range, but grasses themselves are the main reason why we have a lot of the life we have, especially when it comes to herbivore diversity. More grass. You can see there are different species of grass. We have this grass that's got very skinny, kind of deep green leaves, and then we have the wide-leaved crab grass. Some of the wispier, normal ornamental grass that you would see growing. It's not just a monoculture here, which is great. Biodiversity is amazing. This is a different type of grass. I don't know which species this is. A lot of these I don't know what they are. Some of them are ornamental and thus are not actually native here. And I'm not really a grass expert. It's easier to identify them when they're actively growing rather than this dormant, dead tuft of grass. But this is another grass, nonetheless. Huh. Well, it's a shame they cut these all the way down to the ground. They don't cut them down every year. And so I was hoping we'd be able to see the inflorescence, the seed heads on the stalk. Maybe I'll look around and see if there's one that they missed. But this is my favorite member of the Poaceae, or the grass family. This is the native panic grass. And it is a very ecologically important species. It helps cycle nutrients and stabilize soil, and it's very good for a lot of native herbivores. It can survive in a number of different habitats as long as it gets enough light. It's got, your typical hollow grass stems. That's how you know it's in the Poaceae. And it's a good ornamental. It gets fairly large. It's in a fairly large genus known as Panicum. And this plant spreads underground through a thick rhizome that grows horizontally. And so even if you only planted one, you'd get a line of them after several years of development. So we just have a whole bunch of them over here. Here is the intact, well, sort of intact, old seed head. Now, you can see a couple of the old shells of the seed pods left behind, but the winter has really just worn this down to almost nothing. But it's very distinctive. It's got a very large spreading inflorescence called a panicle. That's why it's called panicum, and or panic grass. The stem has multiple branches that are kind of offset alongside one another, and that's where the flowers arise from. And so this is one of our native grasses. It's fairly common and fairly easily recognizable if it's in flower. And one of the only native grasses that I actually know and recognize. Everything else just looks like grass to me. I mean, it is grass. I put the O in the Poaceae. So, Poaceae, the grass family. Now, we eat a lot of grass. Like, a lot of it. And we don't even know it sometimes. Like, so many different things that are in our food, like flour, is oftentimes made from wheat. But we still have a whole grain flour, which is made from rye, which is still in the Poaceae. Oatmeal is in the Poaceae. Couscous. This is something that's really tricky because they make it look like it's a healthy, nutritious grain, but it's really just pasta that they shape into this globular, kind of like cool looking material. Who can live without sugar? Brown sugar is molasses with regular granulated sugar, and guess what molasses is made out of? Then we've got, regular sugar. This is from the genus Saccharum, which is sugarcane, and we saw the live sugarcane plant earlier. And even more importantly, rice. Now, rice itself is a huge staple in the diet of a huge number of people, particularly in the third world. And the success of rice crops can literally be life or death for some places where people rely heavily on this plant to sustain themselves. And, in America, we produce a lot of corn just to feed livestock. And when corn prices change, it means that some places can't import enough food from us and they have famines. And rice has always been something that we've been, as a species, trying to improve upon so that it's more nutritious, more resistant to a number of pests and diseases, and easier for us to grow and utilize. They make rice that has genetic modifications to be able to tolerate more salt from, intensive agricultural lands where we've pulled up salt from under the ground and able to tolerate different diseases that are emerging in the plants that we grow, as well as synthesize vitamins that it normally wouldn't, so that we don't have to eat as many different plants in order to get an adequate diet. So we're very reliant on some of these plants. And it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, we're able to produce these things in large quantities and we're able to feed a lot of people. But on the other hand, if we only rely on a few species or, a few clones of any particular species, should some new disease of that strain or particular plant emerge, we could lose a huge portion of the food we produce. And so I'm not trying to go on a long political or, environmental activism lecture here. And I'm not going to really get into some of the health consequences of eating too much poaceous material, like too many people eating corn and too much sugar and stuff like that. But we want to be mindful of how our actions are affecting the environment, the planet as a whole, and everybody's well-being. And one of the things we want to be conscientious of is what we're promoting with our choices. And so rather than just getting everything that has sugar and corn in it, we should be trying alternative sources of flours and alternative vegetables and things like that, so that we drive the demand for some of the greater variety of things up. And so this is just a showcase of a very important group of plants. Like I said, Poaceae is a huge family, very important for us. In some sense, we may rely too heavily on it. It's kind of just the nature of things. But like I said, grasses really do determine nutrient flow and how an ecosystem and how humans function properly. We have corn. Corn is a member of the Poaceae, or the grass family. Now, as you can see with this corn, it's got the parallel venation, even on the leaves of the seed pod. These would technically be bracts. It's a monocot. So, corn is derived from Poaceae, which is the wild version of this plant. It's much more grass-like in its wild form, but this is still a member of the grass family. Now, what we can see if we peel back some of these bracts is that the corn has this silk, and this silk is actually the old tubes from which the pollen hit the corn and allowed for the fertilization of the seeds inside. So we can see the kernels, and what's interesting about corn is that this isn't a seed. The seed is actually inside of this. So hang on a sec. So if we take one of these, we can actually extract the seed, I think. Yep. So the seed is actually like right here. This outer covering is just some accessory material that we've selectively bred the corn to produce around each seed because we like to eat it. It's just an extra cushioning.
That's corn in the corner. That's corn in the spotlight.
And corn is perfectly edible raw or cooked. Although some corns arguably taste a lot better when they've been cooked. The extra fluff around the seeds is what we want to eat. It's just all that extra kind of juice and sugars and such. Now, corn has a lot of products made from it. There's corn syrup and corn sugar, corn starch. Corn starch is a thickening or gelling agent. Really great for vegan alternatives to gelatin and things like that. You really can't find food these days that doesn't have corn additive. Now, we're not going to get into the health implications of that or get into a debate as to whether it's good or bad. It just happens to be that we are heavily reliant on the Poaceae. And the next poaceous plant we're going to look at is another very, very large part of our diet. It's a huge staple for us, and I think everybody knows what that is. Well, there are several that we really need to go over. But here's corn. Ooh! We've got a seed, bunch of seeds of a grass species. Although I think all the seeds have blown off, but you have the remnants of the flower stalk. This almost looks like nodding foxtail, but it's really tall for nodding foxtail, so maybe it's not nodding foxtail. But it's a grass. The old seed head is still attached to the plant. I don't know if it's growing back just yet, but you can see all these old seed heads on these old grass stalks. Very nice, very cool. This looks more like the size of a foxtail. A foxtail is a type of grass that gets its name because of the poofy foxtail looking... Hey, there's a piece of a cottonwood. Anyways, the foxtail looking ends of them. We can see a whole bunch of other grasses out here. More crabgrass. A bunch of this grass is over here. Wow. Got all these old stalks. I can't wait to see what the leaves look like when the plant regenerates. As you know, most grasses spread their seeds through wind. So they will make these kind of light, fluffy seed heads that have seeds that are carried by parachutes all over the place. Grass is an important food resource for multiple grazing animals. The dog peacefully grazes on the grass. Huh? Hi! Hi, doggy! She seeks out a suitable food resource. Alright, guys. So this is one of the most rapid growing plants in the world. It is the largest member of the grass family. For people who don't recognize it, it's bamboo. So we have stands of bamboo in Rhode Island. They're winter hardy here. It's a very primitive type of grass. So let's take a look here. Bamboo. Okay. So as I kind of just sit awkwardly on the side of this bike path, let's take a quick look at the bamboo, shall we? So, bamboo is one of the more primitive members of the Poaceae. Now, pandas, of course, eat bamboo. They're mostly going after the leaves because the leaves are the easiest parts to digest. What's weird about these, now you can tell kind of that they're grass leaves. They're a little bit more unusual. You can still see the sheaths that the base of the leaves form around the nodes. However, these fall off, so it almost looks like the grass leaf is not a grass leaf. These leaves are actually compound leaves. So this is the entire leaf blade, but the lamina, or the actual like fleshy photosynthetic part of the leaf, is kind of divided up into small stalks independently. Now, one of the ways you can tell that this is poaceous is the hollow stem. So the stem here is hollow, and bamboo is a really good building material because of how tough and strong it is. I got a little click beetle right here. Click beetles are fun. If we put it upside down, it will click. There you go. Click beetle. This is a non-native plant, obviously. It's really tough. Very, very good stuff. But if you look, the vascular system of the plant is along the edges of the stems. Now, this is the case for all members of the grass family, but it's easy to see in bamboo just because of its sheer size. It's like a blown up, enlarged version. Now, because this is living, you can see the pithy material in the middle here. However, if this were dead, you wouldn't really see that. Alright, this is probably as good as it's gonna get. So, what we'll do, I really should have probably just like gone somewhere where I'm not in the middle of a bike path or whatever. My log is breaking with the, this is how strong the bamboo is, and this is why they use bamboo structurally for building a lot of things. It doesn't rot. It's very tough. You can imagine how hard it is for pandas to eat the stuff. In fact, panda bears, in order to get anything out of their bamboo food source, they have to eat pound after pound of it constantly. What I'm actually, I think I can demonstrate this without getting, the other option is to just go to the top of the plant where the material is thinner. Here, why don't I go right about here? Got it. Okay. That's about good. Okay. How are we? How are we looking here? Not quite. Okay, one sec. Alright, so crap. So what we're dealing with here is a plant, and so the inside there of the stem is hollow, like all members of the. Oh, look at the dogs! I really need to get out of this distracting area. Well, My phone updated itself recently, and it seems that I don't have to stop my video filming to switch the view of my phone, so at least that's good. Alright, so anyways, we have a very hollow stem, so it's very, very evident in the bamboo. But the stem is not hollow at the nodes, so here's a node right here. And what we can do, if we bisect it, hey, look at the little cinquefoil. That's a rosaceous plant. Okay. So what you'll notice here, bamboo has a hollow stem, like all grasses, but it's very solid here at the node. Hello there! So the node tissue is contiguous, and so what you'll end up with are these stems that have septa every node, and that helps reinforce the stem. And so you have a tube, then there's a cap, and more of a tube, and in very actively growing live bamboo, it's very easy to see it. If you split the stem of it, you can see it's almost like we have chambers. So inside is this living whitish layer of pith. You've got each node that is completely solid, and then the rest of the stem is hollow. This is the structure of all grasses, and if you look at any other grass, you'd have to probably use a magnifying lens or a dissecting scope of some sort, because it's just a lot harder to see because it's a smaller plant. But they all follow the same structure. You know, even bamboo, even though it's a basal member of the grass family, bamboo is interesting because its flower structure is a bit different than all of our other grasses, and bamboo stands have this mode of flowering where they all flower at once, set their seed, and the entire stand dies, and then the seeds will germinate later on. Very few other grasses do this. So that's bamboo. Bamboo is really great. People use it in Asia and, you know, kind of anywhere else to build makeshift, low cost, but very strong and efficient, sturdy structures. You can peel the stem here, and you can use this as rope to tie lengths of the stuff so that you can have platforms. You can make rafts, things like that. Very useful for all sorts of things. If anybody watches like Man vs. Wild or any of those shows where they are out in the wilderness, they happen upon a bamboo stand and they just can build all sorts of cool stuff. This bamboo is a little bit thinner, so it would take a lot more to build with, but it can hold a lot of weight, and it's very strong material. So I'm just going to take this bamboo piece with me. This piece is taller than I am. Bamboo grows several inches a day, certain species. Very good plant for a number of different things, even though this is a non-native plant. Very little eats it, but it's got a good amount of ornamental value. This thing is not going to fit in my car. I wonder if I get pulled over if like half of this were sticking out the other window. I'm just kidding. I could just imagine, like, if people didn't know this was my car and they just see me sticking a piece of bamboo in it, they're gonna be thinking I'm like trying to like break into the car. But like, no, it's my car, don't worry. Like, I wonder if I could just like hang some of this from like the rear view mirror and then just make it look like some religious symbol for, I don't know, panda worship. I don't know. Can we worship pandas? Like, I don't want to go on a tangent about pandas, but I should... Oh yeah, look at that nice protective sheath covering the leaf. Now, in most of the grasses today, this is just fused with the leaf and doesn't really die the way that it has in the bamboo. But remember that bamboo is primitive. A lot of the Poaceae traits that apply to everything else don't apply to the bamboo. We got bamboo. You can still tell it's a monocot though. You can see the parallel veination on those leaves. Look at that. Very nice stuff. There's my dog friend again. Hi, buddy. Do you want a piece of the bamboo to chew on? Do you like to chew? I'll give you a piece of the bamboo. All right. All right. Well, that's the second dog in our Poaceae field trip. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, this fits fairly well. If I get pulled over, I'm going to be asked some strange questions. All right, guys. So this is basically going to be the finale of the Poaceae field trip. All right, so bamboo is great for building with. You can make some really nice structures out of bamboo. This is a nice bamboo hut I made. It's remarkably sturdy. It'll hold up really nicely. It's a complicated house. It's a great dwelling. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to shapeshift. Marshmallow power! I am a panda. I turned myself into a panda. Ooh, my house is made out of my food source. I can eat it and live inside of it. I have the best house on earth now. It's beautiful. It's a majestic, large McMansion for me to live within, and I can feed upon the material it's made out of because it's my primary food source. I can be a pole vault panda. Da, da, da. Whee! I can use it as a marker for my javelin skills. And most importantly, the walls are very sturdy, but they also have ventilation to allow enough airflow to sustain my very large bear mammalian body, because I am a very large bear that needs a lot of oxygen because I am a panda now. So I can live in here and be sheltered from the rain and from the sunlight. However, there's enough gaps in the walls to make sure that I don't suffocate inside of my own house. Oh no! Something's trying to eat me. I hope my bamboo shelter can hold up to the challenge. No! I will get you. I will eat you. That's my bamboo to feed upon. I want to eat you, not your bamboo. No, I should never have shapeshifted. I will use my horn to break down your walls. This structure is too sturdy and strong. Because it's made out of bamboo. I will eat the delicious panda within. I need to eat the panda. The panda. I can't fit inside of the door frame. No. I'm ripping piece by piece until I get you. At least I'm safe inside of my home. It's too heavy for me to lift, but if I can lift, I'll eat you. I give up. Bamboo saves the day. The only problem now is that rabbits like to invade my house and eat the bamboo with me. I'm a rabbit and I'm small enough to enter the house. La 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 la. La 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 la. Get out. No! I am a bear. You should be afraid of bears. Alright, so now that I'm no longer a panda, I'm just gonna give one of the pythons the bamboo structure. I should make all the animals some bamboo hides to live in. Okay. There you go, tapeworm. Wherever he's probably just hiding in there. I still gotta get the snakes food this week. Maybe I'll just feed the baby king snake in there. I don't know. Okay, so that's enough heat over his thing there. Perfect. Yep, there he is. Hey, bud. Hey, buddy boy. Hi. Who's the good sneaky snake? Yeah. Are you a hungry sneaky snake? The sneaky snake, snake. You can keep the rabbits out of the bamboo because you'll eat the rabbits. Pandas don't eat rabbits. Although pandas aren't fully bamboo feeders. In captivity, they'll eat fruits, and they may even scavenge on dead things.